せーの。Hello there, this is Riz channel.
Hi there, so today we're going to be talking about trains. Choo choo! So today we're going to talk about the difference between trains in England and trains in Japan, right? So I think British trains are quite famous for being a bit rubbish and slow and not on time very often. We complain about this a lot. And Japanese trains have like the exact opposite stereotype of them always being super efficient.
Yeah.
However,
more than 5 minutes late, they will give you the paper that here's a proof that.
Oh my god, yeah, that's so if you're late for work, they
or
can
school.
Or school. Oh my god, yeah. So you can prove that you were late because the train was late. Oh my god, you'd have if you did that in England, you'd have so many pieces of paper, just mountains and mountains of paper. My first experience of Japanese trains was we arrived at Kansai International Airport when I first visited Japan, and on the very first train to where we were staying, I noticed how quiet it was and like how people were clearly being respectful of each other's personal space and the volume in the room in the little carriage. So UK trains must feel very noisy and rowdy to you.
I think so. And then and the train on its own is very noisy as well. Like
oh yeah, especially the underground ones. Yeah. In Japan, everybody cares a lot about what other people think and how they're influencing other people. So people don't talk on trains not because it's a rule. It's just that they don't want to have to bother other people with their conversation. Telephones, by the way, in Japan on trains, don't do it. You'll get stared at, and it's very impolite to talk on a train, but it's very, very impolite to talk on the phone on a train. So don't talk on your phone on the trains. But again, it's just people being courteous.
But hot food
Especially.
It's really annoying that it sometimes happen in Osaka that we have gogoichi. Have you seen the 511 the what it calls bun?
Okay, like a burger.
It's like no, it's not. It's white bun. It's from China, but it's white.
Oh,
what's it called?
the mincemeat inside.
Yeah, mincemeat inside.
Oh,
and
they're
bun.
nice. Yes.
They buy
because
it's Osaka souvenir. Sometimes they buy it and on the train. I hate that. I'm so sorry. People buy it because it's takeaway.
So they're not eating on the train.
They're not eating on the train, but it's so smell, and I always look who got it?
Yeah.
Who got in right now?
Coming back on the train from London, you'll always smell McDonald's or Burger King burgers and people just shoving, and the smell is so strong and like
to kill the hot food smell,
worst.
I have to eat again. You know, like
Yeah.
I have to. Now I have to eat because I can't. I don't want to smell that food.
Exactly.
So I'm eating something different on the train.
So yeah, that smells, the eating food, the loud noises. You know, trains are just less civilized. I mean, they're not all terrible, but most of the time it's rare that I'll take a journey and there won't be something like this that annoys me about it. It just feels like grown-ups in Japan. You know, that's the thing I feel like Japanese people behave like grown-ups.
Yeah, it's like we're in library, I think. Like,
Yes.
You can't talk really. You can't. Like you can, but like people respect each other.
Exactly.
We have to be quiet in the environment.
And in the UK, people, because they feel they have a right to say what they think and be noisy, or sometimes be playing music. Oh my god, it's the worst. People will literally, especially young people, will play music on their phone, like on the speaker.
Yeah, sometimes they play game as well on the
and have it. You can hear everything that's going on, and it's like, and they'll play it loudly, and they're just sort of defying people to dare to come up and tell them to turn it off. And because most people want to live a quiet life, they don't bother, and so you just have to sit there and listen to it, and it's horrible. It's really horrible. Whereas the culture in Japan, in general, not just in the trains, but in general, it's like be mindful of other people and be respectful.
Yeah, we have to be quiet because they're sleeping as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people sleeping on Japanese trains. People will sleep on UK trains mostly when they're drunk at night time. There'll be a lot of sleepy people getting off at the wrong station.
Yeah, I'm kind of got used to sleeping on the train. So when my friend came over, one of my friend came over to the UK, we went to London by a train, and on the way back, like we were so tired, so we slept on the train because we got used to sleeping on the train, especially like some like Japanese next to me. And I feel like, oh, okay,
It's
Japanese
safe,
train,
yeah.
like, yeah, I felt safe. I shouldn't be, but like I just slept. And when I wake up, when we woke up, the passenger in front of me, she was so laughing. Like,
Really? Because you both fell asleep.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, well, I don't know why they smile though. Like, is it because it's
Well, I mean, maybe just because people were just waiting to see if you got off at the wrong station or something. That happens quite a lot. But in general, again, it's a big example of Japanese culture. People are quiet because they're respectful of other people, but also in Japan feels like a very safe country. Like I felt very safe the whole time I was in Japan. And the UK just doesn't feel like that, sadly. You know, sorry to say, but it doesn't feel as safe, and people. All kinds of different people will be getting on and off the train, and they'll all have their own personal rules about what's okay and what isn't, and you can't tell them that you know to behave a certain way because they just won't. So be careful of your luggage, your purse, your wallet, and that kind of thing. Whereas in Japan, I never really felt too worried about that kind of thing. Yeah, there's so many other aspects of the train culture which are really interesting. So, but the Shinkansen, especially the Japanese bullet trains, they're a perfect example of just efficiency, because the only time I really ever felt like pretty stressed in Japan was getting on and off the Shinkansen, because it's terrifying. It's like they're like get on, go. The way they queue for the doors is really good in Japan. Like the different lanes for the different trains. And you queue, like you stand in front of each in a row. And so in the UK, like when the trains open, everybody just rushes forward like it's a football match or something, and they all cram in and they're all trying to push their way to the front and squeeze through whichever door happens to stop near them, and you never really know where the doors are going to stop. It's like chaos.
Yeah, it felt a bit annoying because like it's everything is in order on the train for Japanese in Japan. Like if you queue like specific what's it called, the mark on the ground, and then you can just go faster. You know what I mean? Like in JR we have like triangle and then circle mark
that's right
next to each other, so that it means that the circle doors open in front of the circle.
Yes, but then people literally do. They'll queue up 2 by 2 next to each other, and so you'll see these long lines of people. And what that means as well is because people are queuing up so sensibly and just like in a nice line, what that means is the lines are actually always at a bit of an angle, so people getting off the trains in other places can get through because they can just avoid the lines. So it's so much better.
Or sometimes when the diagonal can't do, like sometimes the platform is so small, so like they should queue like very straight. And then when the door opens, they
converge.
Kinda,
it's just so everybody's just so polite, and it in Japan it seems so obvious. Well, why wouldn't you do it like this? You know, that's the thing that bothers me.
But the one thing it bothers me is that sometimes I can't go past because of the queuing.
Yeah, it can sometimes get in the way. Yeah, that's true. It does.
Maybe they're doing that on the tube because of that. I think.
Also, there's one thing to bear in mind when you're selecting your carriage in Japan is there are women only. There are women only carriages. And they'll often be women only during certain times of the day. So
especially like busy time, like 7 to 9.
Like office.
I don't remember.
Times.
I'm not bothered. So.
Yeah. So these are usually designated as pink. They have pink carriages, and there'll be pink lines on the floor, and they'll be women only. And the reason for this is that women in Japan suffer quite frequently, and this is a bad side of Japanese train culture, from being molested, and it's quite famous now.
It's very common. I've experienced to grow up twice on the train, I think.
There's a name for it, right?
Chikan. It happened on like it's not groping, like the man didn't touch me, but the man was like constantly saying something weird thing to me, like shall we go to the hotel and something like that. It's so like, you know, and because he's talking to me, like of course everyone is listening, but nobody helped. Because I was like, I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be like, I don't want it to say like, what are you talking about? Like, get off. If I could say I would, but like I couldn't. Like I was like smiling and like I'm not sure, sorry. And then maybe the other people will feel like, oh, she's fine, you know. But I was kind of I needed help though.
Yeah, it's hard.
And then and another time was so weird. Like I told you before that the spanking my bum.
Yeah,
it's like when I was in number,
this?
I was in number, and then the platform was so crowded, and like people just
Yeah.
so busy, and then one man came from what do you call
the opposite
the opposite direction. And he just get mad at me. I don't know why, because he's busy, and he just spanked my bum, and then he just go somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know
Japan, what are you doing? So that's weird. I mean, you can be harassed on the train in the UK. There's no doubt about that. But Japanese culture seems to have there is a culture of salarymen, businessmen harassing very young girls on trains. That it's very common, and like that baffles me. I don't understand it, but like it's kind of disturbing that it's such a well-known phenomenon. And in fact, when I was in Japan, we saw a video, in fact, of a salaryman who'd harassed these young girls on a train, and bless them, full credit to these girls. They were chasing this salaryman down the station, like shouting at him that he was a harasser. And he was running away from them as they just turned around and were screaming at him. And when I saw the video of this, because I read about this before I saw the video, and I realized how young these girls were. They were like 10, 11, 12 or something. They were very young. One thing I did notice is they were chasing the salaryman down the station, shouting at him. Nobody was stopping him. Like nobody seemed to do anything. Like it was kind of weird.
They don't want to get involved, I think.
Yeah.
They think that they're fine.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I hate that. Sometimes people take a photo of inside a skirt.
Oh really?
Yeah,
upskirting photos. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if anybody in England saw somebody harass a child, I think everybody would step up for that. I think so. Yeah, it seems weird. Like in some ways, Japan is so careful and so culture is so grown up and mature and civilized, and yet this. At the same time, you have this cultural of sexual harassment of children on trains, which is just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Apart from the sexual harassment, Japanese trains are absolutely amazing. So really importantly, if you're an English speaker and you're traveling in Japan and you want to use the trains, like do not worry about it. It's so easy. And it's mostly easy because of these travel cards that every prefecture has. Like an Oyster card in London, you basically tap in, tap out, and that's it. It'll charge the card. And you can top these cards up on these machines, which you put the card on and you can choose English, and then all of a sudden everything's in English. So it's super easy to put money on the cards. Like it's really easy. Now, if you don't do that and you want to buy a single ticket to some destination, you actually have to navigate quite a complex board of Japanese language, which tells you each station and how far from the current station your destination is.
Oh, that's so complicated.
And you have to work out what price of a ticket you need to buy. So in England, we would type in the
Right. Yeah. We have the zone 1 to 6 or 7. So
in London we
So that will be easy, but we don't have.
But also in most of the machines in the UK, you type in like, this is where I'm travelling from and this is where I'm travelling to, and it'll tell you, it'll say, okay, here's the ticket for that journey. In Japan, you have to tell it how much you want to spend on the ticket. It can be really intimidating if you're trying to buy a single, but don't do it. Just buy one of these eco cars, and just tap in, tap out. Put 200, 200,000. Is that right? 220. I've forgotten Japanese money conversion. Like 20,000 yen, or what would 20 quid be? Like £20. 20 would be 200 yen.
2,000.
2,000 yen. Yes, that. Put like 20,000 to 2,000. Sorry, 20,000. Put 2,000 yen on the card. Tap in, tap out. Every time you check in, it will tell you the current amount that's left on the card. So just keep an eye on it. Once it gets low enough, just tap. Just put some more money on it and keep going. It's so easy.
Oh yeah, because they will stop you, right? If you don't have enough money on the eco card, they will stop you when you tap out.
Yeah.
And it will say like
you don't have enough.
Beep, you don't have enough. You should charge. You should go back and charge. But in Oyster card, it will go minus.
Yes.
You can just tap out. But
yes, the difference here is that in Japan you can actually top up your card whilst you're still in the station. You've not gotten out yet. So if you tap and it says, oh, you can't tap out because you've just done a journey that you haven't got the money for, there's actually a machine you can then go and top up the card in inside the station, so you can tap out again. You can also use these in shops and you to pay for things. So actually, again, if you're a traveler and you're worried about carrying around so much cash, you'll find a lot of convenience stores and supermarkets will take them as payment as well. Obviously,
vending machine as well.
Yes, vending machines as well. But obviously you can't go to a lot of restaurants and cafes and things and use EcoCar. So you will need to carry some cash around. You lost yours. You left yours in a machine.
Oh yeah.
So
No. I left the money in the machine.
Oh, that was right. You put some money in. You got some change.
Yeah.
But didn't collect your change.
Yeah, I didn't collect the change.
This is amazing.
And
yeah.
the ticket assistant guy called me to my house, and then he said like, are you Arid? And I said yes. So I'm from the train station. Oh my god, what did I do? And he said like, oh, you left 3,000 yen in the machine. The 3,000 yen I didn't collect did go back to the machine.
Into the machine.
Yeah. So we have 3,000 yen because I didn't collect them.
And so they tracked down which transaction it was that resulted in this money being shown at the time, and then they found your details because you'd registered your EcoCar, and then they called her up to say, we've got your money. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Another thing that's nice about the trains is every train station has its own little jingle. They have their own little music that they play, the little jingle to let you know that you're at that station, which is really, really useful. Definitely worth listening out to.
I think it's JR.
Is it just JR that does that?
I think so.
Oh, that's one thing as well. That there are so many different train operators, so you have to be a little bit careful. In the UK, there are lots of train operators, but they sort of operate as if there is only one operator. So you can buy a ticket from A to B, and you don't have to worry about which company it is that's going to be providing that service, that train journey. But in Japan, you have to be a little bit more aware because you could get there can be two destinations with two very different sounding names that are actually only a few meters apart from each other, and that's because
owning by
different companies. So
that's really annoying for me though. Like I'm Japanese. I live in Japan for a long time, but I still get confused.
Yeah, just bear that in mind that the rail operation is a little bit more separate. And buying the tickets as well as you're buying a ticket for a specific rail network. But again, EcoCar sort of saves you from having to worry about most of that. They seem to interact with each other for that. So you can just tap in, tap out, and never think about it again, which is totally recommended.
What's your favorite train cabin that you?
Oh, the favorite train. That's a weird question, but yeah, that's my favorite train was the one we saw. We went to Nagasaki, and there was like train with the wooden floor. Like it had a really nice wooden floor, like it was a really old style train, and it was quite big and they were quite comfy. And there was like a latticed wooden floor in this train, like it was something out of the Victorian end. Don't remember.
No, was it normal train?
We were very tired. It was quite late that we arrived in Nagasaki.
Yeah,
we got there about 10 o'clock. We've been traveling.
I thought you might say Hankyu.
Hankyu.
Do you know like a posh?
Oh, that one's very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, those are like sort of Harry Potter trains almost. Like it's
colour as well, like nice.
Yeah,
purple.
very pretty.
Tube design looks like Pocket Monster for me.
It looks like Pocket Monster.
Yeah, the Monster Ball. The tube train design, the red, blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, white.
Oh, we should talk about Minding the Gap.
Oh yeah.
So apparently it's quite famous that because British trains, especially in London, when they arrive in the underground, you constantly hear this "Please mind the gap" whenever you arrive at the station. There's a different announcements. Mind the gap in there. Please mind the gap when arriving at the station. But the reason there is a gap in the British Underground is because the British Underground was created during the Victorian era, and the trains used to be a lot wider. And what's happened is new tunnels were dug with modern train sizes in mind, but now the train sizes then had to be smaller to go through the new tunnels. And as a result, what's happened is the trains are now slightly too small for the platforms. The platforms are slightly too far away, and so you get this gap between the exit of the train and the platform edge. Yeah. It's not normally very big, But there is definitely a gap, and people can fall down there, or you can drop your phone down there,
and all that.
Drop a child down there, you know. Just oh yeah, that's another thing. The underground, sometimes there are a few days now where the underground will be 24 hours. So I think Thursdays and Fridays it's 24 hours. In Japan, most of the rail networks shut down at 11, like every day. So that surprised me, because like even when they're not shutting down, you can usually get a train at about sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK, especially around London. But in Osaka, I remember we went out to a drinking party, and it was like, oh, how are we going to get home? Oh, it's too late. It's like, well, it's not that late, and it's like, there's no trains. The trains have been shut for hours.
That's why karaoke exists.
Karaoke, exactly, because they're open 24 hours.
In Japan, Friday night on the train is horrible. So many times they vomit on the train. It's so disgusting. Oh, you never seen it, right? I
didn't see anybody vomiting on the train or vomit outside of it. Or maybe vomit outside maybe once or twice on a Saturday. So disgusting. I think we should do another video about drinking culture.
Yeah, because they eat and like drink at the same time. That's why they... The one thing is very annoying is the cash culture in Japan still. That in the UK you can just do contactless by credit card or do Apple Pay to buy a ticket. But in Japan you have to pay by cash.
We definitely should make a video about that as well, like cash culture in the UK and Japan, and like how you manage that, because we don't carry a lot of cash around most of the time, and in Japan you kind of have to. But yeah, we can. That's maybe another video. God, we get so many videos coming up. We're gonna do alcohol. We're gonna do money. We're gonna do salaryman. I don't know what we're gonna do. But and anime culture and like feminism in Japan. That would be an interesting video.
Okay.
Cool. Anyway. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this video, let us know in the comments, and if there's anything else you'd like to hear us talk about the differences between UK and Japan, let us know in the comments, and we'll have a read, and we'll take your ideas on board for sure. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.